it really does take your community to combat violence. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I have worked with people who committed crimes against violence, have been extremely predatory towards others, as well as victims of violence and abuse. Someone tagged me on the video about I'm sure that a lot of you guys have seen it now, about the mother who wouldn't allow her son to work because she wants to stay on welfare. And I don't want to, I don't want to speak about anybody's ability to be a mother or be derogatory towards anybody, but this video saddens me, and it's unfortunate too that it's a black mother and son, because you already know the trope that goes behind that, right? So most of you already know, and you're already culturally aware of, the things that go on behind that. And specifically, as we talk about generational wealth and or generational poverty and trauma related to generational wealth and poverty. And I really do believe, as a parent, it is, call me crazy, I really do believe as a parent it is our job to set our children up to be the most successful that they can be as possible, right? To have a better life than we did, actually get to enjoy their life and not be enslaved to their life, and certainly not be in a predicament where they have to clean up our mess, right? And I see this time and again with adult children who have to clean up their parents' mess, or have to really do some serious work to undo the cycles. And so I imagine as that young man is recording his mother, and I hope that this isn't true, but I imagine, and I don't know them, but I imagine if he's doing that, then this is like a common occurrence, and that there's a reason why he's doing this. He feels stifled as a person who's trying to make a better life for himself, and that typically tends to manifest in several different ways when you're growing up in an oppressive home. And this is where, I always ask people this when they come to see me as clients: where's your community? Where is the extended family? Where are the people who are aware that this is going on? And what is going on with the village, right? And because I believe that it takes a village to raise a family. It does. I'm old school like that. And so, and a lot of times people will say, well, the village was right there and they didn't do anything. They just kind of let her go on with it, or let whomever go on with it. And, you have to allow your children. One of the ways that I know a parent is abusive off top is when a parent stifles their child's voice, or they give them their voice for them, meaning that they don't allow. They become upset when a child tries to become autonomous, have individual expressions, thoughts and feelings, or a voice. If a parent is trying to quash that, I already know off top they are abusive. And I'm not going to fight with you about that. I've just seen it enough times to know that when people are doing that, in particular, when that child is of age to have real, true independence and autonomy, so they're able to date, they're able to go out and get a job, they're able to try to get their own apartments, and really try to have their own friends. And if a parent is trying to put a stop to that, I already know that they are abusive. And it really does take a village and a community to get them out of that. And so I hope that young man is able to, if there is someone there who's able to assist him and help him get him to where he needs to go. Because unfortunately, it doesn't appear as though you're going to get help from the person that you're living with. The other challenge that I see with this type of dynamic is parents who oppress their children and try to control them financially. Those will be the same parents that expect their children to support them when they do become of age and their children do start to have real economic means, that spoon is that breast. They're not going to break away from that breast. They're going to expect you to, just like the expectation is, you can't take food out of my mouth. You can't take away my benefits. It's also, I'm your mama. I raised you. I put a roof over your head. I fed and clothed you. I expect you to pay for me now. So that's how that poverty, that spectrum, that mindset flows. It's always me first, like to your own detriment. And even when you become of age and you finally break free, she will turn around and still expect you to take care of her. And I really think it's important for people to start calling their family members out, in particular when family members are abusing little children. And I say that wholeheartedly. I've had to do it. A matter of fact, I've got family members right now that are, probably wishing that, me to have my worst horrible death, because I've had to get involved, with them being abusive towards their children. And that's all right. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. It's better to say something and have someone who check somebody, because when someone is abusive to their children, they're not rational. They're not, so when people are adults in abusive relationships and they want to go back, that's one thing. But when you have a small child that's defenseless and can't take care of themselves, and you've got an adult that's abusive to them psychologically, verbally, emotionally, financially, or sexually, you're not dealing with a rational adult that can make their own decisions. And, that's just not a risk that I'm willing to take, so I will get involved. I will call the police. I will call Child Protective Services. I do not care. If you are forever angry with me and, wish all of these negative thoughts, you're going to have to live with that. You and I can no longer have a conversation, because you are no longer a rational, thoughtful, considerate, kind adult. You are someone who is clearly taking advantage of a younger person. You cannot be trusted. You cannot and should not be entrusted to take care of children. And that's all I'm going to say.